Hello and welcome to this demo. In this demo we are going to show you how to do high availability in OTRS. OTRS is a very popular help desk and ITSM tool. It is already a very robust tool which runs fantastically even on a single server. However, for enterprise use cases we do need high availability for OTRS, and in this demo that's pretty much what we're going to show. So what we have taken as objective is to achieve high availability for OTRS application. We want to protect against hardware failures, and we want to maintain close to 100% application uptime. The approach we have taken is to use a cluster architecture, and the stack is going to be PCS stack, and we will be running this in the active HA mode. The active HA mode gives the lowest switchover time, and you get real-time benefits. So what we did was to have an architecture which has two nodes, node 1 and node 2. The physical IP is going to be .200 for node 1 and .201 for node 2. The virtual IP, which is going to be the application URL, is going to be .205. This is what is visible for the end user, and this is pretty much a virtual IP. The two nodes are tied to a shared storage which facilitates your HA architecture design. The technology stack, in addition to the hardware, is going to be based on Pacemaker and CoroSync toolset, and the clustering is going to be based on CentOS 7 cluster. So with that said, let me show you the demo. So there are going to be a couple of tools which we will use to show the demo. The first one is, of course, the login page for OTRS itself. This is the OTRS which is running, and you can see the front-end URL is based on 0.205. So this is your front-end application URL which is visible to the end user. And our goal is to make sure that this URL is working, it doesn't see any failures even if there is any hardware failures at node 1 and node 2. Now the second thing we are going to do is to use Nagios as our tool for showing the switchover and see what happens if the node is down. We see physical node down failures using Nagios, but we'll also show that the application itself does not show any downtimes using Nagios. The other tool we are going to use is the admin console given by Pacemaker CoroSync. This is the admin console. You can see there are two nodes here, node 1 and node 2, and it shows the status of the services being run. Now all of this is going to be based on a virtual machine. So I'm going to show you the virtual machines which you are using. So .200 and .201 are the VMs which are being used as part of this demo. Now first of all, here I'm going to show you that right now the application is running, and the node 1 is what is active, and these are all the services which are running on node 1. So name of the services are mentioned in this section, where you see OTRS services running, there you see MySQL and HTTP services running. So currently this is running on node 1. So that's why you see this under node 1. If I click on node 2, I see that the hardware is up and running, but there are no services which are related to OTRS. It's empty. So essentially what this means is currently node 1 is active and you are running all the application services through node 1. And that also is reflected if I look at the Nagios console. You see that everything is green for the services on Nagios. On node 2, even though the hardware is up and running, the CPU, memory and hardware is up and running, but there is no MySQL database running, and there's no mount points for the partitions. So essentially this means that your application right now, OTRS, is running from node 1. And overall URL is saying green because this is what the end customer is going to see. So everything is running, working fine. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take node 1 down. So for that I go to my ESX. .200 is the node 1 machine. I'm going to turn the machine off. So let's power off the machine. So I'm going to shut down this VM .200, and right now it says that .200 has been shut down. So a couple of things will happen. First of all, let me look at node 2. So here node 2 is going to be switching over, so we'll see the latest coming up here. What happens on the XI front? So you see this is going to be refreshed. So let's wait for this to refresh. and you'll see suddenly that the services start switching. So first of all, the daemon, PCS daemon, has switched from node 1 to node 2, right? And the remaining stuff are also going to come online. You see MySQL daemon has started, and slowly the application also switch over. In the meanwhile, what happens in OTRS is it's running as before. There's no change in the behavior. Even though node 1 is down, there is no impact seen by the end user. The public URL .205 is still visible or available. So let's come back to the tool, see what happens here for Nagios. So now you're seeing a red for node 1. Basically node 1 is down, all the services are down, and suddenly node 2, everything is green, which means the switchover is complete. The daemon MySQL is running from node 2, and all other partitions are mounted on through node 2 now. Okay, if I go back to the pacemaker console, I need to log back in. Node 2 is going to be refreshed, so I'm going to see services show up here slowly. Let me refresh this. So it takes a while to refresh. So on the meanwhile, XI, clearly you see that the node 1 has now gone down and services switched to node 2, right? There's no impact to the end user. That is the key application availability that we are trying to get through this setup. Okay. Now let me go back to my machine, and I'm going to restart. So I'm going to power this on. This node 1 comes back on. So you can see at the bottom that node 1 is turned on. And if I go back to my XI, this is XI. Let me refresh and see what happens now. So the services are going to come back online, and node 1 should now be in green. You see node 1 is up, so that's why this has become green again. The remaining services are still booting up, so let's see what happens there. The ping is available, the PCSD, MySQL, CPU usage. The MySQL daemon is going to be in orange because it's not running. The remaining also going to be in orange because they are not running anymore. So the hardware has come up, but now node 2 is taken over and it's still running the application, which is OTRS. So now let's load this, and you can see now in node 2 you are seeing application OTRS services, and there is MySQL daemon running on node 2, right? If I go back to node 1, node 1 is empty, so which means node 2 has taken over the application, right? So that is basically what has happened here. And going back to Nagios, you see now that node 1 is in standby, and node 2 is now the active node. We can do one more time and see what happens if we switch node 2 off. So I'm going to go and turn off the second node, which is active, power it off, and let's see what happens. First of all, the application is still available, right? So if I click on this, it's still loading the application. Briefly, there is a switchover, almost invisible to the user, and it's loading up pretty quickly, right? So this is pretty much the short time in milliseconds that you're going to see when there is actually a switchover. So I just wanted to show that. Now if I go back to the Nagios screen, you see node 2 is down and node 1 has taken over the application services, right? So let's refresh. Now node 1 is taken over. That's an active node. This is how it is going to work. So let me restart node 2. Node 2 is on. And let's look at what happens here. So while that's refreshing, Nagios XIS should be showing the latest updates. So now the node 2 is also up and running, right? So in this case, the services are moved to node 1 again. And you see node 2 is showing down here. So let's refresh that. It'll pick up the latest. So now node 2 is back online. And here the services are not running on node 2 anymore. It's back to node 1. You see all the services here. There's a node 2 services. Okay. So the end result is the application availability on OTRS is close to 100%, and the switchover time is just in milliseconds, so which is very, very quick, and real time it's pretty much equal to 100% uptime. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show in the demo. So thank you, and if you have any queries, please do reach out to us at sales@altnix.com. Thank you.